Hey guys, Sparks here with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. I've been talking about doing a special interception video for probably the last 2 weeks, and it's finally time. So let me start by telling you what this video isn't and what this video is. This video is not the end-all be-all guide to the highest level strategy for getting maximum damage on all of these. I think that there's a lot of content out there already. That space is pretty well filled. What this video is going to help those players who have just recently unlocked Special Interception, or maybe they're a little bit more casual, and you just don't have a lot of tier 9 gear, much less overload gear, or perhaps all the needed units for, exactly the right teams with high level skills. And so this is going to help you just get to that tier 6, tier 7 damage where you can start building your collection of tier 9 gear, and then everything will kind of become easier after that. So I'm going to go through these in what's generally like the easiest to most difficult order of the Special Interception bosses. And you're going to notice that I'm going to recommend Leader all the time, okay? Leader is basically MVP for pretty much everything, but if you don't have her, generally you're just going to replace her with either Volume or Pepper as necessary, and I'll call out specific exceptions when they apply. The other thing that I'm going to say here, unless I say otherwise specifically, play on full manual, okay? This is extremely important. The difficulty spike from Interception S to Special Individual Interception is huge, okay? And if you're not playing on full manual, you're just not going to get there. So, like I said, there will be some cases where I'll say you can auto certain things, but just count on playing manual, okay? Alright, so the first one we're going to talk about here is Chatterbox. Chatterbox is probably the easiest for most players, depending on your specific Nikkes that you happen to have, of course. Keep in mind that all the teams I'm going to suggest for all of these have been proven by me personally, but there are also a lot of alternatives and you can make other things work. So don't be afraid of experimenting, but I will give you a lot of different options here. So for me, I think the best team is Leader, Rapunzel, Modernia, Power, and Senti. Okay, so the key things here are basically being able to take care of his missiles and also being able to survive his big jumping attack. So alternatives that you can use here are Laplace, as well as Vesti, Drake, and Scarlet. Chatterbox is weak to fire, so any fire units like Modernia, Power, Drake, etc. are going to be able to do extra damage to him. Remember, elemental weakness counts for an extra 10%. And then also being able to do Pierce is extremely valuable because he has all his weak points are close together. And so if you're able to hit multiple points by going through it, you'll deal a lot more damage, as well as doing splash damage with rocket launchers or shotguns. You can hit multiple targets at once as well. So here you can do burst on auto. Basically, whenever it comes up, you don't really have to worry about timing this, but you definitely want to aim manually. So the first thing you want to do is take out the rocket launcher. So aim for one rocket launcher and destroy it as fast as you can. You want to leave the core on his head, okay? If you destroy that weak point on his head, he's going to go into a berserk mode and then do like really powerful attacks in fast succession, and you're probably just going to get wiped. So whatever you do, don't destroy the core on his head. The other key thing here with this fight is taking cover when he does his big jumping attack. So throughout the battle, he'll go way back in the map, and then he'll jump off screen and then slam down and do big damage to one of your units. So you want to make sure you're under cover when that happens. This is also why Senti is extremely valuable in this case, because her shield can just negate that attack completely because it's a one-hit attack. So the barrier will take all the damage. The other thing that you want to do here, if possible, is kind of aim between the weak points, particularly after you deal with one of the rocket launchers, because then you can destroy, or not fully destroy, but deal damage to multiple targets. So the rocket launcher is going to explode, so if you can kind of aim between them. Also, if you're using a piercing attack with like Laplace's special move, or burst attack rather, or whatever, you can go through multiple targets, and this will really ramp up your damage. So, I think that's pretty much all I can say about Chatterbox. He's probably going to be the easiest first target for most players. The next most easiest is Blacksmith. Could potentially be the easiest depending on what Nikkes you have here. So your best team that I've found for using against Blacksmith is going to be Leader, Rupee, Modernia, Scarlet, and Rapunzel. Some good alternatives here are Privity, Pepper if you don't have Leader, Helm can also deal some decent healing if you don't have Rapunzel, as well as Pepper can also heal you some, because healing is important in this fight. Viper, Senti, and potentially Biscuit, although I haven't actually tried her personally, but she does have the ability to recover the cover. She can revive it, which is also part of the reason why Leader is super valuable in this fight specifically, because your cover will take a lot of damage. So this is a fight that you want to play on full manual, and I do mean complete manual. So you're manually aiming and manually using your burst, because it's very important that you burst at the proper time. The thing is, it sends out these bombs that will explode up into the air, and you need to be able to take out all those bombs, and the easiest way to do this is with a burst that will just wipe them all in one hit. So this is the reason why Scarlet and Privity are extremely good in this situation, as well as Modernia, because when she's bursting, she can just hit multiple targets. Also, if you time it right, oftentimes she can go through 2 rounds of these bomb volleys with one burst. So Modernia is kind of MVP here. The other thing that you want to do for this fight is just aim for the core the entire time. So don't worry about those little Gatling guns it has on the side, just aim for the core right in its mouth all the time. Unless you have Modernia's burst going, you can aim for one of the turrets, and then you can actually multi-crit 2 weak points at a time for that specific situation. The other really important thing about this fight is that you take cover when it does this series of 3 gunshots. So you'll hear these series of bangs that go off, and there isn't really a good visual cue, so generally you just want to wait until you hear that, and then take cover after you hear the first one. So you'll probably take 1 hit of damage, and then your cover is going to take the next 2 hits. So this is going to be very important for surviving. If you never take cover at the beginning without really high level gear, you're probably going to get wiped in one of these volleys, or at least one of your units is going to go down, and then it's just kind of like you might as well retry at that point. So your damage or your cover can also get destroyed here. That's why being able to rebuild that cover, or tanking one of the hits at least with your units and then healing, is good, so you can kind of split up that damage. So that's kind of the key things to Blacksmith. Again, it's going to be one of the easier fights, and when you first unlock Special Interception, you might want to think about just targeting Blacksmith and Chatterbox, and just don't even worry about the other 3. Now, I don't mean waste your attempts, you certainly want to use them, but focus on actually being able to get to that 6 or 7 tier damage on Blacksmith and Chatterbox, and don't stress too much about the others. Oh, wait, quick note here in case I didn't clarify this. Make sure you time your burst when all those bombs come out. This is why you play everything on full manual here for Blacksmith, because you need to be able to wipe out all those bombs. So if you're using Privity or whoever, when the bombs come out, burst, and then you can wipe them all. Because if you're spending time actually shooting them all individually, you just waste a ton of DPS on the actual boss. Okay, so like I was saying, Modernia. Now, Modernia is basically a DPS check that is either super hard or super easy. So when you first unlock her, or if you don't have the exact right units with enough skill investment in them, she might just be a wipe, and there's just nothing you can do about it. However, once you kind of get past a certain threshold, she becomes extremely easy. So for me, I found the best team was Leader, Rupee, Modernia, Scarlet, and Rapunzel. Now, there are a lot of alternatives you can use here, and just getting past this certain damage threshold, which I'll talk about in a second here, is really important. So if you need to put in more DPS units, for instance, and just not worry about Rapunzel initially, that might be the way to go. But definitely, Rupee is going to help push that DPS up as well. So she's going to be really valuable in this particular case. And don't worry too much about survivability initially. The reason is because you need to destroy her core, okay? So the first step to doing this is when that startup animation is playing before the fight actually starts, is you want to hit skip after you see Modernia's face. Now, I can't guarantee that this is going to work for forever. This almost feels like a little bit of a bug. The developers might change this, but I kind of feel like this will stay around for forever. The thing is, if you skip at that moment, it will make all of your units focus on the core. If you don't do that, they're just going to aim at whatever target on her is closest to them. So you need them all focusing on the core, and you want to play on... you can kind of get away with playing on full auto, but still manually aiming the unit that you're actually controlling on here. And you're going to aim straight at that core. So she's then going to do a big laser attack that's going to hit the whole field, and if you don't take cover, it will stun your whole team. And when she does it the second time, it's going to destroy your cover, and then you might have 1 or 2 units surviving, but you're just gonna like have to retry at that point. So the thing is, if you destroy the core, you can stop her from doing that big beam laser attack. So you're going to do as much damage as you can. You'll probably get off your first burst, then take cover when she's about to do her laser, and then before she can do the second one, you need to be able to destroy that core, and that's what's usually going to happen if you have the right team comp. After you destroy the core, then you go to destroying one of the wings, and you want to aim at the wing that is closest to whatever your main DPS is that you're not controlling. So you'll have one kind of to the side. Now, some good alternative units, if you don't have Leader, Rupee, Modernia, Scarlet, and Rapunzel, are Snow White, and there are a lot of bosses that you can just take out in one hit with Snow White, but there's a lot of guides on that, and I won't really get into that too much. Other alternatives are Maxwell and Alice, Drake, Laplace, Pepper, Guilty, and Viper. So basically, you want to do a ton of damage here, and then also have a little bit of healing. It's kind of the general idea for Modernia. After you destroy one wing, do not destroy the second wing. If you destroy the second wing, it's going to send her into a mode where she teleports around the screen, and it's just going to get a lot more difficult. She'll start doing her big laser attack again, and it's just hard to target her to deal enough damage in time. So leave that second wing intact. This is very important. If you can get this balance of destroying the core after her first laser attack and then leaving the second wing, this becomes a very easy fight. You just kind of have to get to that threshold. Alright, before I get into the last 2 bosses, quick note here, if you're finding this helpful or if you like any of my videos, subscribe. I release Nikke videos every week, and I stream on YouTube and Twitch all the time. I've got Discord, all that, links in the description, but a subscription would be really helpful, so thanks. So let's go ahead and get on to Gravedigger. Now, Gravedigger is very difficult without the right squad. It's also going to be easier on PC and aiming with a mouse. If you're on mobile, unfortunately, it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. That's not to say that it's going to be impossible, but use PC if you have that option. The best team is going to be Leader, Dola, Isabel, Sugar, and Drake. Now, this is a very specific team. This is the infamous shotgun team that probably a lot of you guys have heard about. And you want to use Leader and Dola to generate as much burst as fast as possible, or have the cooldown be as fast as possible, rather, because Isabel also makes your burst time shorter, and you can cycle through bursts super fast this way. And then Sugar also has a very good burst that increases your rate of fire, and then Drake is just a very powerful shotgun dealer. The reason why shotguns are so valuable for this fight is because you can hit multiple burst targets of those red circles at the same time. And the boss moves around a lot, and so just having a wider area of damage makes this a lot easier. Some good alternative units are going to be Modernia, Guilty, Maiden, Nikke, possibly if you have her really invested, Volume, Scarlet, Privity, and Adme. Particularly Scarlet with Privity and Adme as a combo makes her reload super fast and allows you to do almost continuous damage, kind of similar to if you were using Modernia, who is also very helpful if you're not going with that sort of S-tier all shotgun team. Another thing to note here is that you need to be full manualing, okay? So you're definitely aiming manually, you're going to be covering manually, and you want to be able to time your burst correctly as well, manually. So basically, Gravedigger is a constant DPS check and skill check at the same time, because it just doesn't really do any sort of normal attacks. healing and barriers are irrelevant. So you just want to have as much damage as possible. It's going to have these 2 drill missiles that come out. It's very important that you destroy those, otherwise it will stun whoever they hit. And then it has its big super attack from the 3 red circles, or 2 red circles depending on what phase you're on. You have to destroy these circles all the time, or it'll go into that super attack and then it's basically a wipe at that point. So this is why you don't need to worry about healing or barriers, because if everything's going according to plan, it's just never going to hit you at all. And if it's not going to plan, you probably just lost and you don't have the opportunity to heal anyway. So the red circles need to be destroyed, or it will do that super attack. And if this happens after missing twice, okay? So it'll bring up a batch of either 2 or 3, depending on what phase you're on. And then if you miss them, it'll bring it up a second time. If you miss them a second time, that's when it does its super. So you kind of have to hit at least every other one to keep it from doing that. Likely you'll need to tank at least one of these attacks. It will completely destroy your cover and possibly take down a unit depending on how strong you are. And if the second one happens, you're just done. So you want to try and hold your burst for when the red circles appear, so you make it as easy on yourself to destroy those as possible. And then try and aim a little above them and hit multiple circles at a time. That's why using shotguns is really helpful here. Alright, so that's Gravedigger. Basically, the thing here is get good. You need enough DPS and enough skill to be able to aim at all of those. Alright, the last one I'm going to talk about here is the train, or the something Alteisen, whatever its real name is. In this case, you're just going to die and move on with your day. No, just kidding, but really the train is going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, when you're new to Special Interception and don't have things really built up. So the best team is probably going to be the one-shot Snow White team, which unfortunately most people are just not going to be able to do, and that's going to be Miranda, Polly, Snow White, Maxwell, and Privy. Now, there's a lot of alternatives here. You can, for Snow White, some good alternatives are going to be Eula and Dola, Eula and Dola. Maybe if you don't have Maxwell or you don't have Polly, those are some that you can kind of like fit in there. Also, Novel gives a big attack boost, you could potentially use her, or even Christmas Ann. So there's a few flex spots, but basically the idea is you go all in on increasing Snow White's burst damage. Now, say you're not doing that, because realistically most of you are not going to be able to do that. The next best answer here is Makima, Biscuit, and Noah, and they can just tank the damage on the far right side and just absorb that from not dying while you destroy the turrets and then destroy the rocket launchers. Now, if you have enough damage here, you'll be able to do this. You have to sort of like pray that you have good RNG as well, because those turrets can kind of randomly target things, and it takes a while to take them down. Makima and then Biscuit and Noah make this way easier, but it's still going to be things that you'll probably have to retry just because of some RNG, and hope you have enough damage to actually take that out. But generally you want to destroy those turrets first and then the rocket launchers. Another really important thing to do for the train is to play on horizontal mode, because this will allow you to see more of the target sooner and deal more damage, because at some point the train will actually be completely off screen if you're playing in the vertical mode. The other good strategy here is to combine Noise and Diesel and manually control Noise, and you can do what they call quote-unquote iframing, which if you know why it's actually called iframing, let me know in the comments below. I'd be curious. I don't know what that actually means, but what they're referring to, by they, people on the internet, is dodging. So the train will only target a new thing every 4 attacks with its missiles. So it'll shoot 4 missiles at something and then switch to another target and shoot 4 more missiles. So you can take advantage of this with Noise by being undercover and then when it's the 4th one hits, you can pop out, and then it's going to target her with 4, and so then you go undercover, and then it will attack the cover, and so on. So you can effectively dodge these attacks by the fact that it's going to be locked into that single target for 4 attacks. Other good alternatives here for just doing a lot of damage are going to be Modernia, Scarlet, Laplace, Leader, of course, because she can help repair your cover and also give you a big attack boost, and then Rapunzel for helping heal you because you're just going to be taking a lot of damage. And you need to play on full manual. So kind of the fight will open up without really you taking too much damage, but it's going to send off a volley of missiles, and you want someone like Modernia, Scarlet, or Privity to take out all those missiles. Modernia is probably going to be a best case scenario. And then it's going to move to the end of the train where you need to take out your first batch of turrets and missile launchers. And here's where you need to pray for good RNG and then tank with Makima, Noah, or Biscuit. Or you can just get good and then dodge with Noise or Makima combined with Diesel to give you some extra healing and tanking. The missile launcher changes target every 4 shots, like I said, so that's how you can dodge. The most brain off option is just tanking with Makima and playing the auto and hoping for the best here. Okay, so thank you so much. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions below. These strategies should definitely be able to get you to that tier 6 or 7 damage. You can start building your tier 9 collection. Remember to subscribe if you found this helpful. This video has gone on for forever. Check my description for Discord, Instagram, Twitch, all the things. You're welcome to join them. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.